So it's funny. So I definitely, well, I thought I've been with this person for 11 years. And I thought, who am I? Right? Because in this relationship, and I'm not going to bash anybody. I'm not going to go into all the dirty details.
But did your identity become like, I'm this person's wife? I'm this person's mother?
Not really. It became Melanie the nurse, or Melanie the mom, or Melanie the wife, or I just didn't know. There were so many things that I didn't know. It was never.
And grown.
And grown.
You've been through plenty of stuff to be considered grown.
I was 36. I'm like, I'm not a math magician. I'm not that. So, but I was just like, I said to myself, all right, Mel, you need to take 1 full year. You need to take 1 full year, and you need to get back to doing the things that make you happy. You need to spend time with your girls. You need to sit and reflect, because what you're doing isn't working, right? Because if you think about my history and the types of men that I dated,
and the connections that you formed,
it was always, I was very codependent. Very codependent on
like having
someone.
to take care of somebody. You felt a need to have to be someone's solution.
I was the fixer. So for those of y'all who don't know me, like Wendy knows me, but I was married by the 3rd time at 25. So I was a single mom. A lot of things, like I had daddy issues. My dad was an alcoholic and had been one for since I was 20s, but there's not enough time for my backstory. Like,
I was that first husband.
Yeah. I mean, drug addicts, domestic violence victim. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on about my sob story, but those things help us grow and make us who we are. And
I'll never forget being as surprised as I was. 2 seconds here. As surprised as I was to hear that you actually had found yourself in that kind of a domestic violence situation, because I would have never imagined you to tolerate that for half a second.
No.
Period.
No, because I was always the strong, independent, and, and there were signs that, like, the first time I was choked, I should have left them, but I didn't, because I'm like, whatever. He didn't mean it, blah, 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 blah. And then the next time it happened, it was really bad. And so that was the final straw for me. Like, I wasn't one of those women who was like, oh, he didn't mean it. Blah, 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 blah. And it
just took a minute
to like, nah, this man will kill me if I, so we weren't going there. But
grateful for that.
Thankful for that. And, but, a lot of drama. I mean, so I was always thinking, I didn't pick anybody right except you. I think that's kind of where I was at.
Girl, you can make me cry. So here you are in this situation, and you're saying, okay, here I have been with different people that I thought were friends, because you brought
family.
You brought this out. And I'm holding on to the photo album. You brought this photo album out, and I'm sharing with you probably what I never told you before, and how I was jealous of these friendships and these relationships that you're making when you were out in Nevada. And you said to me they weren't what I thought they were.
Right.
So
it was all a facade.
You've developed friendships or fake friendships or relationships and boyfriends or significant others and husbands. And here you are, you're thinking, okay, all these years, all this experience that I've had, and here I am still at the end of this broken marriage, don't know what I'm going to do, have lost who I am.
And without a bestie. And in addition to that, so even before that, I mean, you and I, gosh, we went through your parents' divorce. We went through...
That was rough.
Your marriage and divorce. Your first marriage and divorce.
Yeah. Young and stupid, guys.
And we went through another situation with me and with you, a relationship situation. So we had been through
different relationship situations that we chose that we didn't get as serious as being married.
Right.
But different relationships that we chose to invest our time and our energy into that turned out to be
terrible
no
and
good.
toxic.
Toxic is the best way to describe them. Just toxic.
Yeah.
And they've left their scars.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
And grateful that we were able to be around each other through some of that.
Yeah.
But, just thinking back, and I was telling Alexis, that's Melanie's daughter, her oldest, I was telling her, when you had messaged me, I remember, I don't remember my exact words, but I remember telling you, I forgive you, and it hurt, and I want to pick up where we left off. Don't. I remember you feeling like I know we might never be the way we were.
Right.
And I remember telling you, don't let the power of forgiveness surprise you. But I am pissed at you because what have we missed in each other's life all these years?
Yeah. And I was really, really thankful for that because I went into this message when I messaged you, literally 100% had zero expectation that you would even respond. Right. Because here it is 13 years later, your life has changed drastically. You're married to a new husband, you have a baby, and I'm in a new relationship. Our kids that we knew were grown, and so I'm like, so much time has passed, like I bet she doesn't even respond. So I'm like, all right, Mel, don't set yourself up to get hurt if she doesn't respond.
Don't get too emotional. Don't get too attached.
Don't get too attached. Don't get too emotional about it, because then you have nothing to lose, right? You have nothing to lose. If you message her and she responds and it doesn't go the way you want, then you're no worse off than you were. And I remember thinking, but if you message her and it goes right, then you're way better than you were before.
What do you have to lose, right?
Right.
And listen, in no way am I putting a feather in my hat, because I'm sure I have done things. We don't have time for me to go down my list. I know I've done wrong. I know I've done, situations that I should have been more forgiving in and I wasn't.
Right.
But I'll be honest with you, in this one, and I know that people sometimes will say, oh, time heals all wounds. And you know me, I am, and Matt and I have said it, and I got to interject it here, I'm a firm and faithful believer in Christ, and I know that he is truly the one that heals when you're broken. So I can say that time does help in healing some wounds.
Sure.
But your message and your reaching out to me, that apology and that forgiveness for me to extend was so easy. It was so easy. Because I can say, for example, I won't mention his name, but I'm sure you remember, he was a jerk. And when I had moved on to a certain point in my life and trying to be ready and to be open to accept a new relationship, even before meeting my husband, I knew that I had to heal myself. It was very hard for me to extend forgiveness to him, even when he didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
But I knew I had to extend that forgiveness in
For
order
you.
for me to be okay.
For you, not for
and
him.
I knew I had to extend forgiveness to other people in my life. I had to extend forgiveness to the director of that daycare. That one was rough, So I can say that because I've been in other situations where it was very hard for me to say, okay, you know what, Wendy, forgive it. But for you to reach out, I remembered the hurt, and I remembered the empty years kind of missing my bestie.
Right.
But it was easy for me to say, it's all right.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear
Don't
that.
let, what I'm saying? Don't underestimate the power of true forgiveness. Because where we are right now in your beautiful home, okay, guys, we're in Georgia, and I'm looking at her like, and I say this and I mean no offense by it, but when we pulled up to this house, I was like, damn, this girl moved up from where she grew up.
That was the point.
She has really done something, And I love my little house, but I'm like, I'd be jealous, Look at this place. This is
Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous.
to see
I worked
to
really
see where you
hard,
are and to see how hard you've worked and to know that,
And you seen it full circle. You saw me in the trailer. You saw me. You
In the
saw
hood,
me
in
in the
Morganton.
hood.
You
So
know?
you've seen it full circle, which is also
But that, you know what I'm saying? I can say that there's a piece of me that hurts for not being able to have been part of that progression in your life.
yeah.
There's a piece of me that hurts that says, you know what? I wish I could have been there to celebrate with her for the purchase of her home the way you were there to celebrate with me when they accepted my offer on my home. Because you came to look at it with me.
Oh, we celebrated.
And the textured walls.
The textured walls. They're
And the
still they're
chandelier.
still my favorite. The textured walls in your home
And we
are
were
still
waiting
my
to see
favorite.
if he was going to accept my offer. And we were at Sagebrush.
And
in
I was
Morganton.
so proud.
And
I
we
was
were so
proud
excited.
of you. Because how old were you? 23?
23, 24.
When you bought that
Because
house?
you remember
And I
my
was
ex.
so proud of you.
Shout out to James Boyd. Okay, he is my ex-husband, but I hope you listen to this at one point in time. You're an amazing man. I am grateful that you're the father that you are. But I felt if he could do it, I could do it.
Right. And you
ain't gonna
did it.
You ain't gonna outshine me.
And you did it.
So,
Blam. You
he
did
had
it.
just bought a house. He moved out of his apartment and just bought a house. So I was like, oh, I could do it too.
Yeah. And coming from where we came from, it's a big deal.
To own a
It's
home.
a big deal to
It's
own
a
a
big
home.
deal to own a home because we were in coming from Jersey, 2-story home after 2-story home after 2-story family home, then to an apartment. You know, and
Then
okay,
to a double wide.
and then to a double
yeah.
wide.
Yeah. And that was all.
Then my parents wound up losing
Yeah.
because my dad left,
It's a big
and my mom
deal.
couldn't keep up, and so we lost that. And then what? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, y'all. I'm getting all emo over here.
It's all right.
My bad.
So I'm really glad that we can be as open and transparent and really real with each other about this and to share it. And excuse me. Honestly, I hope you share it with your friends. I'm a share it with everyone on Facebook. Try to get everybody's attention. Snapchat, Instagram. Well, my husband will take an Instagram because I don't do Instagram much. But I just want people to hear this because I think we have a beautiful story. Friendship, forgiveness. I mean, we were so tight. I wore your dress to my senior military ball. What was it? Your prom dress? It was black.
It had.
I had
to
a big
been-
bow. It
yeah.
had the big tacky bow.
I know.
Right?
It had to been a military ball because I didn't go to a prom.
I remember
North
wearing
Carolina.
it my senior year.
Yeah, it had to been one of the ROTC balls.
So, I mean, just that kind of friendship. And then I remember I was actually telling Matt when we were on the way down, I was like, you know what? She tried teaching me stick. And I remember we were on that
Oh, my
road
gosh.
going, you were on what, Old 18? You lived on Old 18? And we were at that stop sign and you were like, oh, you killed
You
it.
were
Try
so
again.
terrible. You
Oh,
were so
you killed
terrible.
it.
at
Try
driving stick.
again.
I'm like, all right, Wendy, go on.
Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Easy on the clutch. You can do it.
Yeah,
But,
we have so many. And I think too, that was one of the things like every single time that I thought about you throughout the years, it was always a grand memory. It was always a grand memory, even though we supported each other through terrible times. I always thought of you and thought of you fondly. I always 100% did. And I was always like, we went through some stuff, like individually, that we supported each other through. But every single time over the years I thought about you, it was always like all the fun we had and how great we were with each other. And
the true
how
connection.
crazy we were.
The true connection, the true trust. Because I'll be honest with you, there are times when you're like, okay, you know what? This might be my friend, but I promise you I'm not trusting her alone with my husband.
And we never.
I promise you I'm not going to trust her with my boy.
We never had an issue with that.
Ever
Never
questioned
one time.
And again, I'm not putting a feather in my hat because I really don't. When Matt looks at me and he's like, oh, we should have recorded that. Oh, can you remember that? Save it. Don't keep talking. I'm gonna get something so we can, remember that. I think it comes from, being a child. I remember being a child in church all the time. And then I got to a point where I was too old to sleep in the corner. We used to be able to line. No, I'm telling you the truth, okay? This fellowship that we were at when we were kids, and my mom was very into the church, and she thought that if she was a good woman, then her husband would eventually join her back at church, and she always sat with an empty chair beside her, okay? And I remember getting too old to a point where when we were little, like Rachel's age little, we could bring our blankets and we could line the walls and go to sleep, take a nap. But then it got to a point where I was too old for that. And my mother would nudge me if I would start to fall asleep, right? Okay? So I remember that. And then I remember coming home and seeing my father sitting with a beer in front of the television. Okay? And I remember the divide that there was in that household, even as young as I was, okay? And then I remember the softball teams, okay? Because up north, every tavern, every bar sponsors a softball team, and
right.
they play games on Sundays, right?
Or they drink beer. They
drink beer and they toast it up, and
Yeah.
there's a huge spread, okay?
That's
so every
what
Sunday
happens.
there's a huge spread, and everybody goes to eat, and there's kids that are allowed in the bar.
Yeah.
Kids should never be allowed in bars, y'all. Just saying. So here we are. We're putting money. Listen, we're putting money in the jukebox, playing Paradise City, okay? And UB40, red wine, and all these, you know. Colleen, I love you and all those memories. But my point is, coming from where I was and remembering church to those memories and remembering all of the situations that happened between my parents. I'll leave all the details out, but all the situations that happens with my parents because of that. To conversations that me and my sister had because of what we would have seen. You know, things I don't even want to put out there to the public. But, you know, and it just causes you to kind of, you think about things in a different manner, and you don't even look for recognition for that. You just share in your heart, just different experiences. Yeah. And trust me, I know a lot of people have been through a lot worse and a lot different, right? But coming from that, then my sister, who was a surprise, nobody would have imagined my parents would have had another kid. And we moved to North Carolina, seeing just all of these different things and just sitting back and having my own opinions on it and I'm incredibly independent. I will be honest, that is still a struggle between me and my husband because he's like, why do you have to be so stubborn in these areas? Why don't you just ask me for help? Why do you feel you have to take care of the whole house by yourself? Because that's just how I feel I have to do it. Mm-hmm. Because at any point in time, you could get tired and leave. And I have to do it on my own. And that's an issue. Listen, y'all, I'm being transparent with you guys. You know me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you know all the situations I've been through. Mm-hmm. Seeing my dad. Mm-hmm. After all my life hearing divorce is not in my vocabulary.
Right.
You heard that from my father.
Yes. On more than one occasion.
So all of that time, and then all of a sudden, it crashes down.
Yeah.
So I'm on defensive.
You're an Italian Catholic household. Like, divorce isn't an option. And then all of a sudden.
It was.
So I get it.
You know, so I'm preparing myself, and I'm like, I'm not asking you for nothing. Mm-hmm. You want to be here because you want to be here, not because I'm begging you to be here, because guess what? I'm going to do it myself. But I have to realize that out of respect for him, I have to tell him when I'm feeling overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. I have to tell him when I need help. And that's the same thing, honestly, that's the same thing in a friendship. I have to be able to tell you when I need you. Mm-hmm. Listen, I see you busy, but I need you right now.
Yeah.
Stop what you're doing because I need it.
Yeah.
And having to be able to have that confidence and that level of comfort to do that, you know? So anyway, went on a little bit of a tangent there, but to say that I don't feel like, I keep special fire words in the back of my mind, but
she does.
It's just,
she does. She's a magician, y'all.
It's just me sharing my heart from all of my experience and really my heart, you know? And you and I have been friends since before I came back to Christ. And we're going to be friends now that I've been back with Christ for a while.
Right.
And I don't want that, no matter how you personally feel about religion or relationship, because I still don't like the word religion, relationship with Christ and how I am. I still want you to know that I'm going to love you. I'm going to forgive you. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to still be your cheerleader. And I'm going to be your sounding board. whenever you need it. And I'm going to still be there. I know you love this man you're about to marry. I'm going to still be there to tell you, what are you doing? What nonsense you got,
Right.
Where you going with them kids? What are you doing? I want to go on vacation with you. I mean, whatever situation happens in our life, I'm still going to keep it real.
Yeah.
I'm going to cheer for you.
Which is what I need.
I'm going to cheer for you. I'm going to be in your corner. I'm so happy that, listen, I'm so happy that you made the decision. Now, listen, Matt and I, we had a ball at our wedding, okay? But I can't tell you how many times he looks at me and been like, why do we spend all that money? Why do we have that big old church wedding? Why didn't we just go to the Justice of the Peace and get married, okay, and then have a big old party?
Right.
So, listen, hats off to you for doing it in a less stressful manner to where you and Don can enjoy
Doing
your
a smart
day.
thing.
Yeah.
Enjoy your day, enjoy each other, and not enjoy any of the extra
Yeah.
that a typical bridezilla has to worry about. So I'm so happy for that. I'm happy you found me before that point.
Me too. Yeah, me too. Me too.
And I'm going to cry.
Just let it out. I already been bawling, y'all, okay? I was hiding it. I'm like, I hope they don't hear me sniffling. All sniffling.
But so, again, I alluded to this earlier in the podcast. And if you're listening to a separate episode, go back and listen to the rest of it. This is Me and My House podcast. We're down here in Georgia. I'm visiting with Melanie. And it's been a good time, and it really feels like we have the same comfort that we had in that house. I can't even, like I said, I can't remember what town it was in, but you were right outside of Greensboro, and I would come down with James.
Yeah, it was Burlington.
And we would just hang out. There's that same level of comfort to just hang out and be able to have a conversation, and I don't question. Can I go in her fridge and get myself a drink? You know what I'm saying?
Girl.
I mean,
that's why I told y'all last night when you got here, I'm like, help yourself to the pantry, help yourself to the fridge. Y'all, if you're in my house, you're my family.
But so that just goes to show the commitment that we had to each other back then, despite all of the hurdles or the ups and the downs or the hills and the valleys that we went through from, again, speed rounding it for y'all who are listening. Freshman year, then you're gone, then you're back, then you go to basic, then I find you again.
Yep. Then I have a kid.
Then we have kids.
And then you have a kid.
I have a kid.
Yeah.
Then you have a kid.
Yeah.
Right? Because Alexis is a month younger, right? January.
A month younger.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super close. So
Well,
crazy
we were
how
pregnant
that happened.
at the same time and didn't even know.
And didn't even know. And then
Because it was a secret from me.
developed years of friendship after that.
Years. Yeah, because we were,
Because again,
19?
it was 2006, 7 that we wound up falling off. 13 years later. And
Like
I know...
so that was 5 years that we were really close. Like 5 to 6
because we were old
years,
enough at that
really,
point
really close.
to not be influenced by high school, to
Yeah.
have our own ability. Those are where some foundations. I mean, yeah, okay, you develop some foundations in elementary school and in high school and things like that, but where you really to build that foundation of friendship, of a relationship, is when you are not relying on anyone else to make your decisions. You're making your own.
Yeah.
You're doing your own thing. So.
Yep.
But we've been going on, and we could probably keep going on and on. I'm glad that we're having this conversation. Although there's microphones in front of us, I'm just talking to you.
I just feel like it's just a conversation that we're having. And it needed, to be honest, Wendy, it needed to be had. Because even though we had the conversation when we first reconnected, we didn't have it in person. Right? We had it via text or via messenger or whatever it was.
Right.
And so I just want you to know that I feel 100% comfortable having this conversation with you face to face and you deserve it. And I'm super thankful that it was easy I didn't know that it was easy for you to forgive me, because if it would have been me on the other end, I'd have been like, I don't know, should I let her sweat it out? I really want her to be my friend, but should I let her sweat it for a minute? Like,
listen, you sound a whole lot like my husband in that scenario. Okay, thinking I don't know. Well, I mean, I might forgive him, but I might not.
And it's interesting too, because Donald and I had the conversation.
Okay, so tell me about that. Did you guys have the conversation before you reached out to me, or after? Or?
Yeah. So, I think it was because he doesn't tell me what to do, right? I do what I want, and he's apart, or he does his own thing, and that's
he supports his opinion,
or he gives his opinion, and he always tells me, Melanie, you have a very grounded outlook and grounded perspective, because we're totally different. He's a Sagittarius and I'm a Virgo, and we balance each other in ways that are really helpful and really needed. But I told him, I was like, I've really been thinking about, and I've had several conversations with him, like, about different people in my life that I've cut out, like my mom, my dad, and you. And I talked to him about it, and I was like, Wendy back in the day was my ride or die, and, we fell off, and, some things happened, and I was like, I sent her a message on Messenger, on Facebook Messenger. I found her, and I sent her a message, and he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, how do you feel? And I was like, I don't know how to feel, because I fully expect her not to respond. And then you did. And I was like, wow, she responded. So that was a good thing. Even though you were very firm with me, and you were like, why should I, you hurt me. Why should I forgive you because you hurt me? Which, rightfully so. I would have said those things in not a nice manner, probably, had the roles been reversed. Just being honest, because I know myself, I'm kind of a butthead. But we talked about it, and he was like, well, that's awesome. And then when I said, I'm going to go meet Wendy at this restaurant we used to work at, he was like, oh my gosh, that's great. Have a great time. And then as soon as I got home, how was your trip? How was your lunch?